An epitome of a committed and God-fearing government servant, Dr. Eunice A. Layugan, this year's nominee for Outstanding Agricultural Scientist, pioneered the realization of a vision of transplanting and multiplying an endemic bivalve from the Cagayan River and transformed it into a new technology. Without thoughts of awards and remuneration, said endeavor guided the undertakings of aquaculture researchers, fisher folks, and organizations that resulted to outstanding development works of national importance. This dream started with underlying question for an organism that can only be found in Cagayan River, particularly at some parts of Lalo and Gataran, Cagayan. Out of appreciation and passion for additional aquaculture commodity, she designed the research program to fully harness the possibility of exploring its potential. It started with biological assessment of the habitat known as kabibi. The stocks accompanying the organism were identified on site and public market surveys were conducted to determine sources. The clam was later found out to be rare and can only be seen in limited parts of the Cagayan River. But the situation does not discourage Dr. Layugan to go on. A revisit of the habitat to note changes within the fishing ground of the river was done after 10 years. On-site collection of samples with the nominee was also undertaken for 2 to 3 years in order to describe the area, substrate characteristics, and physics-chemical parameters. Productivity of the shell was monitored through counting of catch for almost 1 year. Results were actively disseminated by the nominee to fisher folks and local officials regarding the conservation and protection of said species. As a result, the Kabibi Sanctuary was put up by LGU Lalo Cagayan as one mitigating steps towards its conservation. Simultaneous with the assessment was the conduct of transplantation study to determine the growth response of the clam in pond and tank. With its success, the research was then recognized and awarded as Best Technology by the Cagayan Valley Agriculture and Research and Development Consortium, or CVARD, in 1989. This widens the challenge for more innovations and introduction of technology intended for ponds where growth, density, and return of investments were initiated both for monoculture and polyculture. Results are again presented and recognized as agency's best paper during the DA's Research and Development in-house review and evaluation of completed research. There arose the prospect for this clam species in pond that was later on supported and piloted in other nearby municipalities and being supported by the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. She likewise initiated research on the exposure of the species to hazardous chemical that could affect human health, which was presented during a symposium with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. With the dwindling situation of clam brought by uncontrolled gathering and climate change, the nominee supported the calls for conservation because the species can only be found in 4 countries and large rivers, to include the Philippines. Owing to her numerous and worthy research undertakings, her name was often mentioned during provincial and regional symposia. In 1995, she was chosen as Outstanding Alumni in the field of research by the Cagayan State University Alumni Association. For Dr. Layugan, she will continue to look for strategies in order to preserve even just a tiny part of the nation's natural resources. She will not stop to dig for possibilities for the sake of developing our ecosystem, which is needed for human survival.